Video 20 Part 1 of 2, Inputs to the Identify Stakeholdes process in the PMBOK Initiating Process Group. The objective of this video is to develop a WBS to present the inputs that need to be analyzed to execute the process Identify Stakeholdes that belongs to the Initiating Process Group. Please click the like button, subscribe to my channel and share with others. Thank you. The second knowledge area in the initiation processes is stakeholder management. It refers to the identification, analysis, and initial engagement of stakeholders during the early stages of a project. Here we have an important process that is Identify Stakeholdes. It involves systematically identifying all individuals, groups, or organizations that could impact or be impacted by the project. The primary purpose of the Identify Stakeholdes process is 1. Recognize all parties who have an interest in or influence over the project. 2. Understand their needs, expectations, and potential impact on the project. 3. Lay the groundwork for effective stakeholder engagement and communication. What is the importance of stakeholder management in initiating processes? Stakeholder management is crucial in initiating processes for several reasons. 1. With relation to alignment of objectives, stakeholders often have diverse interests and priorities. Effective stakeholder management ensures that everyone's objectives are aligned with the project's goals, reducing conflicts and fostering collaboration. 2. With relation to resource allocation, stakeholders can influence the allocation of resources such as budget, personnel, and time. Engaging them early helps secure the necessary resources and support for the project. 3. With relation to risk mitigation, identifying stakeholders early allows for the identification of potential risks and issues that could arise from their concerns or opposition. Proactively addressing these risks can prevent delays and cost overruns. 4. With relation to buy-in and support, gaining the support of key stakeholders is essential for the successful initiation of any process. Their buy-in can facilitate smoother implementation and adoption of the project outcomes. 5. With relation to communication, effective stakeholder management establishes clear communication channels. This ensures that stakeholders are informed, their feedback is considered, and any concerns are addressed promptly. 6. With relation to decision-making, stakeholders often play a critical role in decision-making processes. Their input can provide valuable insights and help make informed decisions that are more likely to be accepted and supported. 7. With relation to reputation and relationships, managing stakeholders well helps build and maintain positive relationships, which can enhance the organization's reputation and lead to future opportunities for collaboration. 8. With relation to regulatory and compliance issues, some stakeholders, such as regulatory bodies, have the authority to impose legal or compliance requirements. Engaging them early ensures that the project adheres to all necessary regulations and standards. 9. With relation to change management, stakeholders can be affected by changes brought about by the project. Managing their expectations and involving them in the change process can facilitate smoother transitions and reduce resistance. 10. With relation to sustainability and long-term success, engaging stakeholders ensures that the project considers long-term impacts and sustainability, leading to outcomes that are beneficial and acceptable to all parties involved. In summary, stakeholder management is vital in the initiation phase of any process as it helps align interests, secure resources, mitigate risks, and ensure broad support, all of which are essential for the successful start and continuation of a project. way is important to identify the key stakeholders in the initiation phase of a project? Identifying key stakeholders during the initiation phase of a project is critically important because it lays the foundation for the project's success. And the reasons are: 1. Ensures project alignment with stakeholder needs. Stakeholders often have specific expectations, goals, and requirements. Identifying them early ensures the project is aligned with their needs, reducing the risk of misunderstandings or misaligned objectives later. 2. Builds support and buy-in. Engaging stakeholders from the start helps build trust and commitment. When stakeholders feel involved, they are more likely to support the project and advocate for its success. 3. Facilitates effective communication. Knowing who the key stakeholders are allows you to establish clear communication channels and tailor messages to their interests and influence. This ensures they remain informed and engaged throughout the project. 4. Identifies risks and opportunities. Stakeholders can provide valuable insights into potential risks, challenges, and opportunities. Their input during the initiation phase helps shape the project plan and mitigate issues before they escalate. 5. Clarifies roles and responsibilities. Identifying stakeholders early clarifies their roles and responsibilities, ensuring accountability and preventing confusion during project execution. 6. Manages expectations. Understanding stakeholder expectations early allows you to set realistic goals and deliverables, reducing the likelihood of dissatisfaction or conflicts later in the project. 7. Secures necessary resources. Stakeholders often control or influence resources such as budget, personnel, or approvals. Identifying them early ensures their support in securing the resources needed for the project. 8. Mitigates resistance to change. Some stakeholders may resist the project or have concerns about its impact. Early identification allows you to address their concerns and develop strategies to manage resistance. 9. Supports decision-making. Key stakeholders often have decision-making authority. Identifying them ensures they are involved in critical decisions, reducing delays and improving project efficiency. 10. Lays the foundation for stakeholder management. The initiation phase sets the stage for ongoing stakeholder management. Identifying stakeholders early allows you to develop a stakeholder engagement plan, which is essential for maintaining positive relationships throughout the project lifecycle. 11. Avoids surprises. Failing to identify key stakeholders early can lead to unexpected challenges, such as opposition from influential individuals or groups. Early identification helps anticipate and address these issues proactively. 12. Enhances project credibility. Involving stakeholders from the start demonstrates professionalism and transparency, enhancing the project's credibility and increasing the likelihood of success. Summary. Identifying key stakeholders during the initiation phase is essential because it ensures alignment, builds support, mitigates risks, and establishes a strong foundation for effective stakeholder management. It also helps secure resources, manage expectations, and avoid potential roadblocks, setting the project up for success from the very beginning. The first input in this process is the project charter. The project charter is a foundational document that provides critical information for stakeholder management. It provides a high-level overview of the project, including its objectives, scope, and key stakeholders. The project charter analysis identifies key stakeholders and their roles, responsibilities, and level of influence, which helps you understand who needs to be involved in the project and how they need to be engaged and managed throughout the project. The key stakeholders may be the project sponsor, customers, and other high-level individuals or groups with an interest in the project. The following information extracted from the project charter is particularly important for identifying stakeholders. 1. Project purpose objectives. Understanding the project's goals and objectives is crucial for identifying stakeholders because it provides clarity on who has an interest in the project, who will be affected by its outcomes, and who can influence its success. 2. High-level project description. The high-level project description in the project charter provides a broad overview of the project's scope, purpose, and deliverables. This information is essential for identifying stakeholders because it helps clarify who is involved, impacted, or interested in the project. 3. Approved budget. The approved budget is a critical component of the project charter and provides valuable insights for identifying stakeholders. It helps reveal who has a financial interest in the project, who controls resources, and who may be impacted by financial decisions. 4. Assigned project manager and authority level. The assigned project manager and their authority level are critical pieces of information in the project charter that play a significant role in identifying stakeholders. This information helps clarify who has decision-making power, who needs to be consulted, and who can influence the project. 5. Key milestones and timeline. Key milestones and timelines in the project charter provide a roadmap for the project's progress and deliverables. This information is invaluable for identifying stakeholders because it highlights who is involved, impacted, or interested in specific phases or outcomes of the project. 6. High-level risks. High-level risks identified in the project charter provide critical insights into potential challenges and uncertainties that could impact the project. These risks are instrumental in identifying stakeholders because they reveal who is affected by, responsible for, or capable of mitigating these risks. 7. Sponsor and key stakeholders listed in the charter. The sponsor and key stakeholders listed in the project charter are critical starting points for identifying stakeholders. They provide a foundation for understanding who has a vested interest in the project, who holds decision-making authority, and who can influence its success. 8. Approval requirements and criteria. Approval requirements and criteria outlined in the project charter are essential for identifying stakeholders because they reveal who has the authority to approve key decisions, deliverables, or changes throughout the project lifecycle. Understanding these requirements helps ensure that the right stakeholders are engaged at the right time. 9. Assumptions and constraints. Assumptions and constraints outlined in the project charter provide critical context for understanding the project's boundaries, limitations, and underlying beliefs. These elements are instrumental in identifying stakeholders because they reveal who is affected by, responsible for, or capable of addressing these factors. 10. Organizational structure and external entities. The organizational structure and external entities are critical factors in identifying stakeholders because they provide a clear picture of who is involved in or impacted by the project, both within and outside the organization. Understanding these elements helps ensure that all relevant stakeholders are identified and engaged effectively. By analyzing this information, the project manager can create a comprehensive stakeholder register and develop strategies to engage stakeholders effectively throughout the project lifecycle. The second input in this process is business document analysis. Business document analysis is extremely important to the stakeholder identification process in project management or business analysis, because it provides a structured, evidence-based approach to discovering and understanding the individuals, groups, or organizations that have a stake in or are affected by a project or initiative. Examples of business documents to analyze. 1. Organizational charts. Identify key decision makers and departments. 2. Project charters or business cases. Understand the project objectives and stakeholders with specific interests. 3. Contracts or agreements. Identify external stakeholders like vendors, partners, or regulators. 4. Process flows or workflows. Understand who is involved in specific processes. 5. Policies, procedures, or governance frameworks. Identify compliance-related stakeholders. 6. Meeting minutes or reports. Uncover stakeholders involved in past discussions or decisions. 7. Financial statements or budgets. Identify stakeholders with financial interests. 8. Strategic plans or annual reports. Understand organizational priorities and key players. 9. Customer feedback or surveys. Identify end users or customers affected by the project. Here are the reasons why analyzing business documents is important. 1. Comprehensive stakeholder identification. Business documents often contain explicit or implicit references to stakeholders who may not be immediately visible or known to the project team. By analyzing documents such as organizational charts, contracts, or process flows, you can identify both internal and external stakeholders who might not be immediately obvious but play a critical role in the project's success. 2. Understanding stakeholder roles and responsibilities. Documents like organizational charts, job descriptions, or process manuals help clarify the roles and responsibilities of individuals or departments, making it easier to determine their relevance to the project. This helps determine who is directly or indirectly involved in the project and how they contribute to its success. 3. Assessing stakeholder interests and expectations. Business documents such as project charters, business cases, or strategic plans often outline the goals, objectives, and priorities of the organization or project. Analyzing these documents helps identify what stakeholders care about, their expectations, and how the project aligns with their interests. 4. Evaluating stakeholder influence and power. Documents like governance structures, decision-making frameworks, or financial reports can reveal the level of influence or authority certain stakeholders hold. This information is critical for prioritizing stakeholders and understanding who has the power to support or hinder the project. 5. Uncovering hidden or indirect stakeholders. Some stakeholders may not be directly involved but are indirectly affected by the project, e.g., regulatory bodies, suppliers, or end users. Business documents, such as compliance reports, contracts, or customer feedback, can help identify these less obvious stakeholders. 6. Providing historical context. Past project documentation, Lessons learned or audit reports can provide insights into how stakeholders have behaved in previous initiatives, their concerns, and how they were managed. This historical context can inform how to engage and communicate with stakeholders effectively. 7. Supporting stakeholder mapping and prioritization. By analyzing business documents, you can gather data to create stakeholder maps or matrices, which help categorize stakeholders based on their level of interest, influence, and impact on the project. 8. Ensuring compliance and alignment. Regulatory documents, industry standards, or internal policies may highlight stakeholders who need to be involved to ensure compliance or alignment with legal and organizational requirements. 9. Improving stakeholder engagement strategies. Business documents provide insights into stakeholder communication preferences, past interactions, and potential risks or conflicts. This information helps tailor engagement strategies to build positive relationships and mitigate risks. In short, business document analysis is a systematic and objective way to gather data about stakeholders, ensuring that all relevant parties are identified and understood. It helps project managers and business analysts make informed decisions about stakeholder engagement, communication strategies, and risk management, ultimately contributing to project success. Without such analysis, critical stakeholders can be missed, leading to misalignment, resistance, or project failure. The third input in this process is the project management plan analysis. The project management plan analysis is critical to the Identify Stakeholdes process in project management because it provides the foundational framework and context needed to effectively identify and analyze stakeholders. Here's why project management plan analysis is important for the Identify Stakeholdes process. One. Provides context for stakeholder identification. The project management plan outlines the project's objectives, scope, deliverables, and constraints, which help in identifying who might be affected by or have an interest in the project. It ensures that stakeholder identification aligns with the project's goals and boundaries. 2. Defines communication and engagement strategies. The project management plan includes the communications management plan and stakeholder engagement plan, which guide how stakeholders should be identified, categorized, and engaged. These plans help ensure that the right stakeholders are identified early and that their needs and expectations are understood. 3. Identifies key project roles and responsibilities. The project management plan includes the resource management plan, which outlines the roles and responsibilities of team members and other stakeholders. This helps in identifying internal stakeholders such as project team members and sponsors. It also helps in identifying external stakeholders such as suppliers and regulators. 4. Highlights organizational and environmental factors. The project management plan incorporates information about the organizational structure, culture, and external factors such as regulatory requirements and market conditions, all of which influence stakeholder identification. Understanding these factors ensures that all relevant stakeholders, including those indirectly impacted, are identified. 5. Supports stakeholder analysis. The project management plan provides insights into the project's complexity, risks, and dependencies, which are essential for analyzing stakeholders' influence, interest, and potential impact on the project. This analysis is critical for prioritizing stakeholders and tailoring engagement strategies. 6. Ensures alignment with project governance. The project management plan defines the project's governance structure, including decision-making processes and escalation paths. This helps in identifying stakeholders who hold decision-making authority or have significant influence over the project. 7. Facilitates integration with other processes. The project management plan integrates all project management knowledge areas, ensuring that stakeholder identification is consistent with other processes like risk management, scope management, and schedule management. This holistic approach ensures that no critical stakeholders are overlooked. In conclusion, the project management plan is essential to the stakeholder identification process because it provides the context, strategies, and frameworks needed to systematically identify and analyze stakeholders. Without the project management plan, the process can miss key stakeholders or fail to understand their needs, leading to misalignment, conflict, or project failure. By leveraging the project management plan, project managers can ensure comprehensive stakeholder identification and effective engagement throughout the project lifecycle. The fourth input in this process is the project document analysis. Project documents play a crucial role in the Identify Stakeholdes process, which is part of the project stakeholder management knowledge area in project management. The Identify Stakeholdes process involves identifying all individuals, groups, or organizations that could impact or be impacted by the project, and documenting relevant information about their interests, involvement, and influence. The importance of project documents in this process lies in their ability to provide essential information that helps in accurately identifying and analyzing stakeholders. Here's how specific project documents contribute. 1. Project Charter. In terms of importance, the project charter provides high-level information about the purpose, objectives, and key stakeholders of the project. It typically identifies the project sponsor, the client, and other high-level stakeholders who have an interest in the project. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, it serves as a starting point for identifying initial stakeholders and understanding their roles and expectations. 2. Business Case. In terms of importance, the business case outlines the justification for the project, including the benefits it will deliver and the problems it will solve. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, it helps identify stakeholders who have a direct interest in the project's outcomes, such as beneficiaries, investors, or regulatory bodies. 3. Contracts. In terms of importance, contracts define the legal agreements between the project team and external parties, such as vendors, suppliers, or clients. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, contracts help identify external stakeholders and their specific roles, responsibilities, and expectations. 4. Procurement documents. In terms of importance, these documents detail the procurement activities and relationships with suppliers or contractors. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, they help identify stakeholders involved in the procurement process, such as suppliers, contractors, and procurement teams. 5. Stakeholder register from previous projects or phases. In terms of importance, if available, a stakeholder register from a previous phase or project can provide a list of stakeholders and their attributes. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, it serves as a reference to identify stakeholders who may also be relevant to the current project. 6. Organizational process assets. In terms of importance, these include templates, guidelines, and historical information from past projects. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, they provide standardized approaches and lessons learned for identifying stakeholders, ensuring consistency and efficiency. 7. Enterprise environmental factors. In terms of importance, these include external factors such as organizational culture, industry standards, and regulatory requirements. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, they help identify stakeholders who may be influenced by or have influence over these external factors, such as regulatory bodies or industry groups. 8. Communication plans. In terms of importance, communication plans outline how information will be shared with stakeholders. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, they help identify stakeholders who need to be informed or consulted during the project. 9. Risk register. In terms of importance, the risk register identifies potential risks and the stakeholders associated with them. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, it helps identify stakeholders who may be impacted by risks or who can help mitigate them. 10. Requirements documentation. In terms of importance, this document captures the needs and expectations of stakeholders. In terms of its role in stakeholder identification, it helps identify stakeholders who have specific requirements or who will be affected by the project's deliverables. In summary, project documents are vital for the Identify Stakeholders process because they provide the necessary context, historical data, and detailed information to ensure that all relevant stakeholders are identified and understood. This, in turn, enables effective stakeholder engagement and management throughout the project lifecycle, contributing to the project's success. The fifth input in this process is the agreements analysis. The Identify Stakeholders process is a critical component of project management, particularly in the project stakeholder management knowledge area, as it involves recognizing all individuals, groups, or organizations that could impact or be impacted by the project. Agreements play a significant role in this process for the following reasons. One. Defining roles and responsibilities. Agreements often outline the roles, responsibilities, and expectations of various parties involved in a project. This helps in identifying key stakeholders who have a vested interest or influence over the project. 2. Clarifying stakeholder interests. Contracts, memorandums of understanding, and other formal agreements can reveal stakeholders who may not be immediately obvious. For example, suppliers, partners, or regulatory bodies may be identified through these documents. 3. Establishing legal and financial stakeholders. Agreements often involve legal or financial commitments, which highlight stakeholders such as investors, lenders, or legal entities that have a direct interest in the project's success. 4. Identifying dependencies. Agreements can reveal dependencies between stakeholders, such as subcontractors, vendors, or third-party service providers. Understanding these relationships is crucial for effective stakeholder management. 5. Ensuring compliance. Regulatory or compliance agreements may identify stakeholders like government agencies, industry regulators, or certification bodies that must be engaged throughout the project lifecycle. 6. Facilitating communication. Agreements often specify communication protocols and reporting requirements, which help in identifying stakeholders who need to be informed or consulted during the project. 7. Mitigating risks. By reviewing agreements, project managers can identify stakeholders who may pose risks or have conflicting interests. This allows for proactive risk management and stakeholder engagement strategies. 8. Supporting stakeholder analysis. Agreements provide valuable information for stakeholder analysis, such as power, influence, and interest levels. This helps in prioritizing stakeholders and tailoring engagement strategies. 9. Building trust and collaboration. Agreements often formalize relationships and commitments, which can help build trust and foster collaboration among stakeholders. This is essential for project success. 10. Documenting stakeholder expectations. Agreements document the expectations and requirements of stakeholders, ensuring that their needs are understood and addressed throughout the project. In conclusion, agreements are a vital input to the Identify Stakeholdes process because they provide a structured and formalized way to uncover and understand the various individuals, groups, or organizations that may impact or be impacted by the project. By leveraging agreements, project managers can ensure that all relevant stakeholders are identified, analyzed, and engaged effectively, ultimately contributing to the project's success. Enterprise environmental factors are internal or external organizational conditions that can influence the success of a project. In the context of the Identify Stakeholdes process, enterprise environmental factors play a crucial role because they provide the context in which stakeholders operate and interact with the project. Understanding these factors is essential for effectively identifying and engaging stakeholders. Here's why enterprise environmental factors are important for the Identify Stakeholdes process. One. Understanding organizational culture. Enterprise environmental factors provide insights into the organizational culture, values, and norms, which influence how stakeholders perceive and interact with the project. This helps in identifying stakeholders who align with or challenge the organizational culture. 2. Industry standards and regulations. External enterprise environmental factors, such as industry standards, legal requirements, and regulatory frameworks, help identify stakeholders like government agencies, regulatory bodies, or industry groups that must be engaged to ensure compliance. 3. Market conditions. Market trends, competition, and economic conditions can reveal stakeholders such as customers, suppliers, or competitors who may influence or be impacted by the project. 4. Organizational structure. The internal structure of the organization, e.g., centralized versus decentralized, functional versus matrix, affects how stakeholders are identified. For example, in a matrix organization, stakeholders may span multiple departments or functions. 5. Geographic distribution. If the project involves multiple locations or regions, enterprise environmental factors such as local customs, language, and cultural differences help identify stakeholders who may have unique needs or expectations. 6. Political climate. The political environment, both internal, organizational politics, and external, government policies can influence stakeholder identification. For example, changes in government policies may introduce new stakeholders or alter the influence of existing ones. Seven. Technology infrastructure. The availability and maturity of technology within the organization or industry can impact stakeholder identification. For instance, stakeholders may include IT departments, technology vendors, or end users who rely on specific systems. 8. Resource availability. Enterprise environmental factors such as the availability of skilled personnel, funding, or equipment can highlight stakeholders like resource managers, financial controllers, or procurement teams. 9. Social and cultural influences. Social and cultural factors, such as community values, demographics, or public opinion, help identify stakeholders such as community groups, advocacy organizations, or the general public. 10. Historical information. Past projects, lessons learned, and historical stakeholder data, e.g., stakeholder registers from previous projects, provide valuable insights into who the key stakeholders might be for the current project. 11. Stakeholder ecosystems. Enterprise environmental factors help map out the broader ecosystem of stakeholders, including indirect stakeholders, e.g., end users, media, or advocacy groups, who may not be immediately obvious but still have an interest in the project. 12. Risk landscape. Enterprise environmental factors such as risk appetite, risk tolerance, and external risk factors, e.g., economic instability, natural disasters, help identify stakeholders who may be affected by or can influence project risks. In conclusion, enterprise environmental factors are essential to the stakeholder identification process because they provide the context in which the project operates. By understanding these factors, project managers can more effectively identify all relevant stakeholders, anticipate their needs and expectations, and develop appropriate engagement strategies. This ensures that stakeholders are managed proactively, reducing risk and increasing the likelihood of project success. Organizational process assets are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases specific to and used by the performing organization. They play a significant role in the Identify stakeholder process because they provide historical information, standardized approaches, and tools that can streamline and enhance stakeholder identification. Here's why organizational process assets are important for this process. One. Historical information and lessons learned. Organizational process assets include past project records, stakeholder registers, and lessons learned from previous projects. This historical data helps identify stakeholders who were involved in similar projects and understand their interests, influence, and potential impact on the current project. 2. Stakeholder registers and templates. Organizations often maintain standardized stakeholder registers or templates. These assets provide a structured approach to documenting stakeholder information, ensuring consistency and completeness in identifying stakeholders. 3. Stakeholder analysis techniques. Organizational process assets may include guidelines or methodologies for stakeholder analysis, such as power, interest grids, influence, impact matrices, or salience models. These tools help categorize stakeholders based on their level of influence, interest, and involvement in the project. Four, organizational policies and procedures. Organizational policies, such as communication protocols or governance frameworks, can influence how stakeholders are identified and engaged. These policies ensure alignment with the organization's standards and expectations. 5. Stakeholder engagement plans. Existing stakeholder engagement plans from previous projects can serve as a reference for identifying key stakeholders and understanding their needs, expectations, and potential concerns. 6. Organizational culture and structure. Understanding the organization's culture, hierarchy, and decision-making processes helps identify internal stakeholders and their roles. This ensures that all relevant parties are included in the stakeholder identification process. 7. Communication channels and tools. Organizational process assets often include information about preferred communication channels and tools, which can help in reaching out to and engaging stakeholders effectively during the identification process. 8. Industry standards and best practices. Organizational process assets may incorporate industry-specific standards or best practices for stakeholder identification, ensuring that the process aligns with external expectations and requirements. 9. Risk management frameworks. Stakeholders can significantly impact project risks. Organizational process assets related to risk management, such as risk registers or risk assessment templates, can help identify stakeholders who may influence or be affected by project risks. 10. Resource availability. Organizational process assets provide insights into the availability of resources, such as personnel, tools, or budget, that can be allocated to stakeholder identification and engagement activities. In summary, organizational process assets simplify the stakeholder identification process by providing templates, historical data, tools, and best practices. They ensure the process is efficient, consistent, and aligned with organizational standards, ultimately leading to comprehensive and accurate stakeholder identification. This, in turn, sets the foundation for effective stakeholder engagement and project success. Finishing this video, we will have in the next videos: 1. Creation of WBS for different projects using WBS Schedule Pro. 2. Examples of project plans using MS Project. And many other videos. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video and want us to continue with new topics. Subscribe to the channel. All content is free. You can also comment suggesting topics you would like to see on this channel. Thank you.